Lesson 5.2 Rethinking the Innovation Makers and Startups. The problematic framework of university, industry and administration relationship is central in the development perspectives. In view of this, the challenge presented by the digital transformation not only demands an overhaul of the interpretative schemes adopted for understanding societies, but implies the need for a fundamental rethinking of how the different players involved engage and interact, calling into question the operational and theoretical models adopted to date. Over the last 25 years, the triple helix model has become the conventional wisdom in interpreting the interaction between industry and university, in the broader and more structured context of identifying the drivers for the generation, circulation and implementation of innovation. According to the theoretical model, interaction between university, industry and government is tasked with generating new social and institutional relationships for production, the transfer and application of knowledge for innovation and economic development. Under that model, universities, industry and government are the three drivers that cooperate to generate the greatest opportunities for the territory, on the basis of different models of collaboration, reflecting the specific strength and incisiveness of each of those drivers in the social and economic combination for critical factors fabric. Given that the system of cooperation between the drivers of the innovation process constitutes the cardinal element for the growth prospect of territories, it's worthwhile to stop and assess how well that model has held up and the possibility for its redefinition, and not just its expansion to include additional helices, the quadruple helices, quintuple helices, and so on. We need an effort to raise the number of players with a recognized role in innovation. A significant part of the theoretical apparatus of the triple helix model provided in the past a useful framework for exploring the dynamics for the development of policymaking to promote local, national, and international innovation, providing models that were alternatively 1. More wait and see. 2. More interventionist. 3. More regulatory. In these various configurations and its various implementation, the model contributed to identifying the condition for and supporting over time the rise for policy making for technology transfer from university to industry. That model of university collaboration, underpinned by a commitment to respond to the needs of industry by transferring a solution that could be implemented in production processes, although still widely used, is increasingly showing its crack. The reasons are many, but they can be traced to recent transformations that are impacting the model from both the outside, with the emergence and assertion of new drivers, and inside, in the difficulties faced by traditional innovation players. As concern the exogenous pressures exerted by the broader innovation ecosystem as a whole, the agents capable of generating innovation process has become increasingly diversified and pluralized. Thus, new drivers break free of the recognized convention that dominate in the past and have a shattering effect on the mechanism and circuits through which innovation emerges and is implemented. Present and active outside the conventional modes, they move and create a situation in practice that have emerged to become the reference for a community of innovators that is varied as it's incisive. Among the first to have broken the traditional mold are without a doubts the makers, movements of people or individuals on their own. Makers have given rise to a capacity to introduce innovation through the development of solutions for the production of objects, generally based on a crafting model, which can be utilized by users to satisfy emerging needs. The utilization of such objects is often tied to higher levels of innovation through the introduction of new uses of technology for new purposes, directly responding to a niche need which may not be widespread as at first, but which tend to reverberate across broader social context. Maker groups introduce innovation with social impact, working according to logic of local regeneration, which at times can be quite patchy, but is able to offer new opportunities for the innovative governance of issues and problems, unforeseen by industry and government. It's from this context that movement for social innovation often emerge, opening up areas in which to promote new opportunities for the governance of some of the critical issues entailed by social disaggregation processes in local territories. Such movements especially tend to emerge in areas where certain needs are not satisfied by the market or are disregarded by ever-shrinking public welfare services. They step in to fill the gap left behind by the retreat of institutions, determined by public finance troubles, to respond to the unsatisfied needs of the community. Besides the movement, there are the individuals who, with a dynamism unmatched by the traditional production sector, implement innovative solutions by seizing on the best and most promising opportunities presented by change in society. It's thanks to them that next generation services are introduced to quickly fill gaps that open up in the market, triggering the development of brands and new business initiatives in the form of startups. These startups represent new entries that attempt to take on the market and are willing to assume the risk of pioneering new frontiers in goods and services, in markets which the incumbents are unable to understand or grasp. It's in this audacious and sometimes visionary framework that innovation capable of regenerating the economic fabric is studied, engineered and implemented, albeit at the unfortunately all too frequent cost of being cannibalized by enterprises or public administration in a position to utilize the know-how and innovative solution developed at little cost and no risk to them. Startups, with the occasional exception of success stories that manage to survive on the market and then expand by hiring new workers, have a little chance of creating new jobs in area marked by high structural and unemployment issues, especially youth unemployment. rather than constituting a real driver for employment, in part due to the very low number of workers that they employ, and in part due to their high mortality rates, the startups perform and fulfill an important and highly useful role as testing grounds to satisfy economic and social needs. It's their task, in fact, to venture with appropriately bold and often foolhardy spirits into new original terrain that is largely untouched, is not completely abandoned by industry to test the chance of goods and services that otherwise would unlikely be produced without their visionary audacity. Sometimes they wind up being acquired by large corporations to develop their proposed solution in-house, or, more commonly, they are merged into the organization without any real chance to the internal resistance of developing the business that was their mission. In this sense, and without bowing to the fussy rhetoric that reigns when it comes to startups, should be acknowledged the true value of startups and the debt that industry and public administration owes them. Although they may individually appear to be niche phenomena, it's clear that these new drivers, and not only startups, play a role in promoting and stimulating innovation, often serving traditional players in subsidiary capacity, and it's thanks to them that those players can capitalize on research and development at contained cost and without any substantial risks.